Hi there. In this video, I'd like to talk about cascading combo boxes in Microsoft Access. There are two very general ways of going about doing this. Um, the first way is the common and relatively easy way that you see in most YouTube tutorial videos on cascading combo boxes and on internet discussion forums. And the other way is by using QueryDefs. And that's a more sophisticated, professional way of creating cascading combo boxes. So this will be split into two videos. The first video will describe the first easier, more common method, and the second video will describe the more complex QueryDefs method. So to get started, um, we'll talk about the content of the combo boxes. So we have three tables here um, referring to vehicles. We have vehicle make, model, and trim. And this is a classic cascading combo box example using vehicles because um, for vehicles, you need to select a make before you can select a model, and you need to select a model before you can select a trim. So let's take a look at the tables. In the tables, we have just some very common vehicle manufacturers like Chevrolet, Ford, and Honda, and so on. And in the vehicle model table, we have common models that these manufacturers make. For instance, for Chevrolet, we have Malibu and Impala and Silverado. And for the vehicle trims, we have the trim levels pertaining to a couple of different models. For instance, we got LX and Sport and EX, and those are Honda Accord trim levels. And then we have XL and XLT and so on for Ford F-150 trim levels. And you'll also notice that in the vehicle model table, I have a vehicle make ID. This is a foreign key pointing to the vehicle make table. And in the vehicle trim table, I have a vehicle model ID, and that's a foreign key pointing to the vehicle model table. So those are the tables and the data in the tables. And here's the form called FRM vehicle. And this has three combo boxes. The idea is when you select a vehicle make, it refreshes the vehicle model combo box. And then when you select a vehicle model, it refreshes the vehicle trim combo box. So how do we go about doing this? Well, in the vehicle form, these combo boxes have no properties set. They're simply combo boxes drawn onto the form. There's no code in here. This is a completely blank form. So we'll go ahead and get started. We'll go into the design view of this form. And for the vehicle make combo box, we'll come over here to the row source and specify the vehicle make table. And we can specify the table directly because the vehicle make table is not dependent on any other tables. So once we do that, we'll take a look, and you can see that we have the ID number in the column, which corresponds to the vehicle make ID number, but that's not a very user-friendly thing to see. You'd prefer to see the actual names of the vehicles. You want to see the names and not the ID number, so we'll go back into the form. For the combo box, we'll go to Format, and for the column count, we'll display two columns, but we'll shrink the first column's width down to 0. So let's take another look, and for the vehicle make combo box, you can see the different vehicle makes, but you're not seeing the numbers. Now the form is still bound to the ID number, but you're not seeing it displayed here because we shrank the width of that to 0. So now to move on to the model and trim combo boxes. These are going to be a little bit more complicated because models and trims are dependent. They're not independent like make. So for the model, we'll need to go ahead and create a query. So I will create a query, and we'll pull in the vehicle model table. And I will pull in the vehicle model ID and the name, and we'll filter this by the make. So here's where the common method comes in to play. What most everybody does out there is they will directly reference the combo box value of the open form in the query criteria section for the filter. So they'll say forms, FRM vehicle, that's this form right here, and then CBO vehicle make dot value. Um, Now that we have that in place, we can just save this query as QRY vehicle model. So on the form, CBO vehicle make, that's corresponding to this combo box right here. So now that we have that, we need to create a query for the vehicle trim levels, and it'll be very similar to the vehicle model query. So we'll go to vehicle trim, and I'll just pull down the vehicle trim ID and the name, and then the vehicle model is what we're going to be filtering by. And again, I'll say forms, FRM vehicle, CBO model dot value. And we'll call this QRY vehicle trim. So in the trim query, we're looking at the vehicle model combo box and we're getting the value from it. That's going to be the vehicle model combo box. So now that we've created these queries, we can go ahead and go into the model and trim combo boxes and set the values. So in model, we'll set this row source equal to QRY vehicle model. And just like we did with the make, we need to go to the format, set the column count to 2, and the width of the first column to 0. For the trim, we'll go to the row source and say QRY vehicle trim, and we'll display 2 columns and set the width of the first column to 0. So we can take a look. We can see that we have our models displaying here properly. One problem, though, is you'll see that if we select another manufacturer, the list of models doesn't change. It doesn't refresh depending on what manufacturer we've selected. So we need to fix that. So to fix that, we'll go into Design View, and here's where we need to add some code. So we'll go to Other, and we will say that the form has a module. And now that the form has a module, we say it's a heavy form. It's called a heavy form if it has a code behind file or a code behind module. So we will go to make, the make combo box, and we will go to event and go to after update. We'll add some code here. So we will say me.cbo vehicle model.requery. That's all we need to do here. So it's going to requery the model combo box. So when we come back here, when we select Chevrolet, the models refresh. When we select Ford, the models again refresh, and it's showing the models just pertaining to Ford. And we can go to Honda, and it changes the model. So we need to do the same thing for the trim levels, because when we select models, this is the correct trim levels for the Accord, but if we select Ford F-150, it's still showing the incorrect trim levels. So let's go ahead and fix that. So we can go to Model, Event, After Update, and we will say me.cbo vehicle trim.requery. Okay. So if we select F-150, we see the trim levels for the F-150. If we select Honda and like an Accord, we see the trim levels for the Honda Accord. So that is most of the way there, but we need to add some more code to make these combo boxes a little bit more user-friendly. For instance, if we change the combo box for Honda to Ford, the trim level box doesn't change. It doesn't refresh or anything. So we need to fix that, make it a little bit cleaner. So in the code behind, we will go to the vehicle make after update, and we need to change the vehicle model's value to nothing. So we will say vehicle model dot value, and we'll say is equal to blank. And you see that we have vehicle model specified twice. So I will just put a little trick in here. I'll use a with statement. This is a nifty statement that prevents you from having to duplicate code. So now that I've said with this CBO vehicle model, every time I have a dot with nothing preceding it, it assumes that I'm looking at this right here. So this just saves you some code. You don't have to use this, but it's a really convenient feature. And then we'll say me dot cbo vehicle trim dot requery. So if we select Honda, it empties out the trim box. And if we say Accord, then we see the different trim levels. If we select Ford in F-150, with the trim levels come back. We can change this back to Honda and see it removes the value. Now the value is still saved in the combo box. So if I go back to, if I select an LX for the Accord, I go to Ford, select an F-150, the combo box selection changes. If I go to Honda Accord, it displays an LX, and that's because the value is saved in the combo box, but it just doesn't display anything until the rows in the combo box match the selected value. So to prevent that, we can go in here and we can say the vehicle trim, we can set the vehicle trim's value to nothing, to a blank. We can use the with block here again to just save some code. So we're setting the value equal to nothing. So let's take a look. So if we have Ford F-150 and we select the XL trim, we go to Honda, select an Accord, we see the different values. We go back to Ford and select the F-150. It doesn't show the XL trim. So finally, it would be nice if these combo boxes were disabled. Typically, when you see cascading combo boxes, the first box is enabled, but the other ones are disabled. Then when you set the next combo box in the value, then the following combo box is enabled and so on. So we can do that. That makes it more user-friendly. So in design view, we'll just by default make these combo boxes disabled. So we will go to the data tab and go to enable and say no. Now those combo boxes are disabled by default when the form opens. Now in code, we want to make sure that we enable these combo boxes at the appropriate times. So when we select a vehicle make, we want the vehicle model to be enabled. So we'll just simply say dot enabled is equal to true here. So when the vehicle model is updated, we want the vehicle trim to be enabled as well. So I'll go ahead and use another with block here. Okay, so let's take a look. So as you can see, the combo boxes are disabled if I select Ford. Now the model combo box is enabled, and I can select F-150. Now the trim box is enabled, and I can select various trims. Now if I go to Honda, the model combo box is enabled, but the trim combo box is still enabled, so we don't want that behavior. So when the vehicle make is selected, we want to disable the vehicle trim. So we'll go up here and say dot enabled is equal to false. We'll disable the trim there. And we can go back and try it again. So if we select Ford and F-150, we can go all the way down to the trim. Now if we change this and say Honda, now it's disabled the trim and we can select like an Accord and select the different trim levels. So we're just about done. Finally, it might be helpful to have like a reset button. So whenever it's clicked, it just resets the combo boxes back to the values they were when the form first opened. So to do that, we'll go into design mode. I'll select the combo box and it's called CMD reset. I'll go to event and I'll say on click code builder. Now here I will just say with me.cbo vehicle make, and I will say dot value is equal to blank. That's all we really need to do for that. And we technically didn't need a with block for this, but it doesn't matter. If we end up adding more things to modifying vehicle make, it would be helpful. So I will say with me.cbo vehicle model, you can say dot value is equal to blank, and then we need to requery it. And then finally with me.cbo vehicle trim dot value is equal to blank and dot requery. And I will go ahead and try it out. So let's go ahead and close and reopen it. Let's select something like Ford F-150 XL and reset. So when we reset, we want to make sure that these are disabled. So we will say dot enable is equal to false for the models, dot enable is equal to false for the trim, and we can go ahead and also say me.cbo vehicle make dot set focus. So we can move the focus back up to the vehicle make. So let's go ahead and close that and try it out. We can say Ford F-150 select a trim and reset. So when we reset, it takes the focus back to the make and it resets these combo boxes. So that concludes part one of the cascading combo boxes. In the next video, I will talk about the exact same set of combo boxes and vehicles and everything, but this time using the more complex QueryDefs method. Please stay tuned for the next video, and hopefully you will see some very interesting things. Thank you.